And it's time for Lefties Losing It. And we really need to check in on the ladies of The View. It's been too long and I've missed the weapon-grade hate and bile masquerading as tolerance and considered analysis. Here is Sunny Hostin before the Super Bowl claiming that if you don't love Bad Bunny and if perhaps you think there may be some better options for the Super Bowl halftime show, well, you're racist.
And so Bad Bunny, while he speaks Spanish, as Anna does, as I do, we're all Americans. It is so very racist what is happening in this country about Bad Bunny. Let's just call a thing a thing. Let's call a thing a thing. It's just racism.
And after the rather underwhelming performance that the bulk of the audience did not even understand and arguably did not enjoy, we had Sunny Hostin with this hot take about Bad Bunny.
Understand or speak Spanish to feel the joy and to feel the unity and the message of inclusivity.
Staying with The View, and they really do have a talent for finding guests that are even crazier than the host. And this next dude fits the bill, Kentucky Democrat Governor Andy Beshear, who claims it is his Christian faith that makes him promote kids having access to trans treatments.
We rarely talk about the why. People want to know what drives us, especially in a world with social media where everyone's looking for the next authentic thing. For me, that's my faith. Most of the decisions I make are based on that golden rule that says we love our neighbor as ourselves, and that parable of the Good Samaritan that says everyone is our neighbor. And so when I've taken actions like vetoing the nastiest piece of anti-LGBTQ legislation that ever came through my state, I described it in those terms. I said my faith teaches me that all children are children of God. And I didn't want people picking on those kids.
Sweet baby Jesus. They are not picking on these kids, you absolute muppet. They are protecting them. Read the research, Andy. You are complicit in inflicting irreversible harm on confused kids, and using your faith as an excuse is frankly a little sick. Now, to be clear, the nastiest piece of anti-LGBTQ legislation, as Governor Beshear calls it, this is what it does. It bans so-called gender-affirming care for minors. That's irreversible treatments, including surgeries. Keeps boys out of girls' restrooms and requires schools to tell parents if their child is experiencing gender dysphoria. That's what he calls the nastiest piece of anti-LGBTQ legislation. Now, the left, including members of The View, are very alarmed at the hundreds of jobs being slashed at the Washington Post, which is a propaganda outlet these days for the Democrats. Yes, the left are very agitated, but it wasn't long ago when the ladies of The View were urging Washington Post readers to cancel their subscriptions.
So far, 200,000 people have canceled their Washington Post subscription over the decision to block the editorial board from endorsing Vice President Harris.
It sends a message to Jeff Bezos, and I will say, in this election, we're normalizing a bigoted, fascist racist. These opinions matter even more.
Go ahead.
It matters more.
Oh, what short memories they have. Of course, the editorial board not endorsing Kamala Harris meant nothing because everything that pumped out is biased anti-Trump and anti-Republican. Now, this Lefty Losing It is genuinely disappointing because Andrew Schulz is funny and clever, well, mostly clever. Alas, he fell for all the misinfo and BS pushed by the activist class. He might as well dye his hair green and add pronouns to his bio. He has lost the plot.
But I will say that this was a breaking point for me in the way that the administration responded to it. Like, I didn't think what's happening right now with ICE could happen in America. I genuinely did not think that was possible. I thought our institution, I thought the Constitution would hold up. When I see it and then immediately defend it, I start to go, we gotta be very loud about this. Like, it all of a sudden becomes not like liberal catastrophic thinking. It starts to become very reasonable, nuanced criticism of the administration. They have just made the most far left critiques of the Trump administration. Their reaction to this has just justified all of them.
No, they have not, Andrew. Dear me. He has obviously given in to all the bullying from the Karens online. But we still have funny comics who have not been bullied by the Karen Brigade, and they're not soy boys, and Steve Byrne is among them. Here he mocks the ill-informed wokery that we are seeing at the Winter Olympics.
I would love to enjoy the Winter Olympics from Milan, but I can't, knowing that in 222 BC, the Romans stole that land from the Celtics.
Now, Bad Bunny's controversial halftime Super Bowl show has been ranked as the 6th best by the New York Times, coming in behind Prince at #1, U2 and Michael Jackson. Absurd if you ask me. But Bad Bunny was ranked ahead of the likes of Beyonce, Madonna and Bruce Springsteen. But the fans in the stadium seem rather underwhelmed. Well, this next gal was into it, but she was dancing alone. I know the feeling, girl.
No one is dancing, not one person. Everyone's like standing still. Hello? Help! Send help!
And we found another girl dancing. She was loving the halftime show, but she was dancing along to the Turning Point USA halftime show on her phone. Let's leave the final word on Bad Bunny to this grandma who was not feeling the vibe, not at all.
Like, who is this man? Golly! He can't sing. I mean, like, what is this? Golly! This is ridiculous. And got the American flag and all these other flags. And yeah, God bless you too. Get off the stage. Please get off the stage.
Now let's have a look at what all the fuss was about.
Ey, muchas novias, hoy tengo una, mañana otra, pero no hay boda. Titi me preguntó si tengo muchas novias, ey, muchas novias, hoy tengo a una, mañana otra, ey, me la voy a llevar a todas.
Joining me now is comedian Alex Stein. Alex, what's your verdict on the halftime show? Are you with the grandma? Are you with the girl who was dancing and upset nobody else was dancing?
Well, I was watching Turning Point USA, dominate with Kid Rock, but I'll have to admit that I did go and watch it after the fact, and I think my least favorite part were the two guys gyrating together next to the pickup truck. I don't understand why that was necessary. And on top of that, in the fake bodega that they used for the set decoration, they put "We accept EBT." It's like, I mean, give me a break. If this is not the biggest virtue signal fest I've ever seen in my life, I mean, literally, it was the worst halftime Super Bowl show I've ever seen, and it didn't appeal to anybody. And they're going to make the argument, oh, they're trying to appeal to new fans. Well, why not try to make the current fans happy? And that's the problem with all these big corporations. They don't care about the people that support them the most.
Most NFL fans probably don't know too many of Bad Bunny's songs, even if he was singing in English. Now, the Washington Post is being comprehensively mocked for this hot take on the performance. They claimed that Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show had the kind of wholesome, traditional family values that would fit right in with some of the more sentimental commercials that appeared during the game. Now, really, Washington Post, is this what you see as wholesome and traditional family values type entertainment, Alex? They have a fairly different view of wholesome than most of us.
I mean, I think that's an understatement. I mean, these people are basically so pro-LGBTQ and anti-America that, yeah, they probably did think a bunch of illegal immigrants, freak dancing at the halftime Super Bowl show was wholesome. But if you even look at the words, Titi me pregunto, what it means, it's basically a song about treating women like they're disposable and just having multiple girlfriends and being a total degenerate. So there's nothing wholesome about it. I mean, I guess they were dancing slowly, but other than that, I really didn't get any wholesome family values whatsoever from this performance.
No, and I was going to go through some of those lyrics. Obviously, the lyrics were sung in Spanish, but the translations are really not fit for a family program, so we can't even tell you the lyrics. I have no problem with risque lyrics, but Washington Post describing it as wholesome is just a little bit rich. Now, Bad Bunny surprises more than 50 million followers on Instagram by deleting every single one of his posts hours after his controversial performance. Why do you think that is, Alex? Why would he delete essentially his profile?
Well, I noticed that today. I was just covering it, and then I looked at his account and all the pictures were gone. I don't know if he really cares about negative backlash or if he's just embarrassed by the performance, because when you compare it to other great performances like Prince, like Michael Jackson, it really stunk at the end of the day. And so maybe he just doesn't want the heat from all the people that are, criticizing that. But at the same time, maybe it's a publicity stunt, so that you and I are talking about, why did this guy have one of the most talked about halftime performances ever, and then he just kind of ghosts everybody? So I don't know. I don't know what his marketing team is thinking by doing that whatsoever.
Well, there has been a lot of criticism on social media of the performance, but I've got to say the bulk of the mainstream media has been absolutely glowing in their assessment of his performance. Now, Turning Point USA had some incredible numbers watching their alternative halftime show, and those numbers continue to rise. What's remarkable, Alex, is people were streaming this not just on YouTube, but on Rumble. This is really impacting YouTube's perceived monopoly on that market.
Oh, of course. And what's really funny, though, about Turning Point is some of the criticisms they're facing, after the fact, which I think are really unnecessary and unwarranted, is people don't like that Charlie Kirk, the difference between him and other conservatives, he wanted to make being a conservative cool. He loved the fireworks. He loved, going against the counterculture. He was the counterculture. And in the counterculture, I feel like Turning Point won this, because even though there's 120 million people watching the Super Bowl, the fact that 10 million people also turned into Turning Point USA, I mean, that's a huge victory. And it wasn't necessarily just for Kid Rock. It was because people want to actually watch something that they can, I guess, relate to. And most of the fans can't relate to.
Well, by the end of the week, yeah, exactly. Well, by the end of the week, we'll bring you the totals there, because those Turning Point USA numbers are continuing to go up, so we can make a better comparison at the end of the week. Alex Stein, thank you so much for your time.